And it took about 6 months for me to realize that this is what I'm meant to be doing. And once I committed to it, it was like, like the red carpet just rolled out for me. It was just what I was meant to be doing. And it was really profound. But one really important thing that I just want to explain about my I guess my journey is it was a perfect manifestation because before I got sick, I was manifesting that I would take a year off to do absolutely nothing. Right.
Be
And I got
careful
my
what you wish
manifestation.
for.
I got my manifestation, but there was two really important details that I left out. One was the financial independence,
Yeah,
and two was the health to enjoy the year off doing nothing.
yeah. You have to be specific. That's whenever I ask for anything, I'm like, gracefully and with joy and humor, please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, that's so funny. And actually, I mean, I got made redundant a couple years ago during when COVID first kicked off. And it's funny because, as devastating as that was, I also knew on a certain level that I had to be set free, or I never would follow the path I was meant to be on. I would have been sort of stuck in that perpetuating cycle, working for someone else.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I really needed that to happen to kind of kickstart my journey to where I'm now. And I guess those are the examples, that when we have these difficult things that happen, that when we can turn them around and use them as an opportunity, then
yeah,
we can see
absolutely.
why they're there, why we manifested them. I mean, it's a difficult one because not everyone wants to take responsibility for the things in their lives.
Yeah, yeah. Look, that is a really huge thing, and one really important thing that I've learned over the years is the Taoists have a particular saying. It was like there was this farmer whose horse ran away, and his neighbor comes over and says, "Oh, I'm sorry so that such a bad thing happened for you." And the farmer says, "Don't be, because who knows what is good or bad." The next day, the horse came back with a herd of horses that it had befriended. And so the neighbor comes over to the farmer and says, "Oh, congratulations on your good fortune." And the farmer says, "Don't, because who knows what is good or bad." The next day, the farmer's son was trying to break in one of these horses, fell and broke his leg. The neighbor comes over and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your misfortune." The farmer says, "Don't be, for who knows what is good or bad." And then the next day, the army was coming to forcefully recruit soldiers, and the farmer's son was exempted because of his broken leg. And that's the thing, because at the time we may look at it as a really negative experience or a really positive experience, but it's not until down that track a little bit that we see the bigger picture. And
Yeah.
that's what is important to understand is our soul knows the bigger picture. And so sometimes on like that conscious level, we're chucking a tantrum and we're freaking out because it's like this isn't working the way it should be. But if you look at the divine plan, it's all about making those changes to allow you to step into that true purpose.
That's so freaking beautiful. I love that so much. Mark, we're at the end of our time. I mean, it's been over an hour, which I'm sure blows your mind as much as it does mine, but you've already agreed and I'm holding you to it to come back
Yeah.
for a part two. So I'm really feeling, in part two that we could talk a bit about inner child because I'm really interested in that in
Yeah.
terms of theta healing. We could talk a bit about the actual theta healing process. I thought we could talk about, is it painful? And anything else that comes up. Obviously I had about 10 questions written down. I don't even think we scratched two, so it's just what sort
Yeah.
of happens. Is there
If you
anything?
let me start talking, Lauren, I'll keep going.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And it's so, I mean, and maybe we can add even more quantum physics and stuff like that. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's such a huge subject. And I know that when I have these guests on, like yourself, that scratching the surface is all we can do in a lot of cases. But this is such
Yeah.
a fascinating practice and subject. And I personally have benefited from it very much. And as I listen to you talk, I'm like, okay, I got to get my Janist books out. They're just over there and have a look at some things, and
Yeah.
yeah, I just think, kind of like you talked about, there's this opportunity for people to look at things in a different way and assume responsibility on another, to take themselves up those levels, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, that's one of the really key things. So I guess probably a key thing to understand about theta healing is what we're actually doing is removing your emotional attachment to your past, right? Everything that happens to you has happened for a reason. Now, a lot of people have experienced really horrendous things and horrific things. You didn't ask for those things to take place. But in each of those experiences, there is some sort of lesson or experience or virtue, sorry, lesson or virtue that you needed to learn from it,
Mm,
right? And that's the key. So what happens is as long as we think back to our past and it makes us feel sad or it makes us feel angry, then what we're doing is we're actually being victimized by our past. It's like a boat anchor, it stops us from moving forward.
right.
So when you're able to look at the past and you're able to remove the emotional attachment to it, then all of a sudden it allows you to move forward. And that's what we're all here to do. We're all here to create the life that we desire. And it's possible for every single one of us. But the key is about removing that emotional attachment. And that's what theta healing is really profound at.